1992, two people tied the knot with simple dreams. One would become a dentist, the other a scientist. They imagined a quiet life, retiring in bliss after fulfilling careers, but life had a different plan. What began as a straightforward path turned into a remarkable journey together. They built 3 businesses across 2 states, launched a successful franchise, and are planning their second forever home. Today, they host a podcast sharing stories and lessons from their evolving life together. We are walking down the memory lane over 30 years in the making, hoping to paint an honest picture of transformation, growth, and partnership. A journey that proves when life shifts the script, the best stories are often the ones you never planned to write. Welcome back. We are so excited. Our second season of our podcast series, Chatting with Slava the Jordanian on the Mindset Mastery Moments. I'm your host, STJ, and today we have one of our favorite co-hosts, Dr. Ihab Abdurrahim. And we decided, since we uploaded 35 episodes last year of season 1, we thought we can reflect, or we should, will be fun to reflect back on the whole journey. So whether you're ready or not, here we go. So I graduated in 1999 from NYU, and honestly, I did not have a whole lot of expectations. My plan was to land on an associateship, maybe a partnership, work it as hard as I can, then cash out, retire, and live in bliss and peace. But like I said in the intro, life had, I guess, apparently, obviously, a different plan for me. So I went from associateship to partnership, from partnership to owning my own practice, creating my own brand. With the help of Dr. Ihab, we have created together, he founded the franchise group, Greenwood Dental Franchise Group, and all of a sudden, I own 3 practices. I went from 1 practice dream to 3 practice dream across 2 states. And when I went to Egypt in November 2024, it was a inspirational journey for sure. And when I got back, I almost feel like I decided to stop resisting what the universe had brought towards me and just accept it as it was coming towards me. Now, just in case this is the first time you guys join us, I'm Slava the Jordanian, the host of Chatting with Slava the Jordanian. My audience and my Instagram followers call me STJ, and I have with me Dr. Ihab Abdurrahim, who I've been married to for the past 33 years now. We just celebrated our 33rd anniversary. And I am the spiritual side, and he is more the data, fact checking, scientific side. So welcome, Ihab, to season 2.
Thanks.
Are you excited?
Very excited. I'm ready to go.
Did you ever think that we were going to be in this position?
No, never. Never. All I remember when we first started this journey was just getting to the next day, the next week. I wasn't thinking about, I thought about like, okay, I'm going to graduate from graduate school. I'm going to get a job, work some job. And my thoughts were I was going to work in the oil and gas industry, because that's kind of what my research was on. But it ended up completely different, semiconductor, and it was just. And then from there, the ride just continued on with the dental offices. So, but yeah, I never expected it to be like this.
So let's reflect back a little bit. And I know you don't like this, but I'm going to put you through that process again.
Sure.
Where do you think, or when do you think that you realize life is changing or putting you on a detour route, so different than your original blueprint, your plan?
Yeah. So my original blueprint, I was going to go to medical school. That was the original one from undergraduate. I decided in my last year that I did not want to go. So I ended up getting, I had my chemistry degree, and I said to myself, I really like chemistry, so let me continue on with my PhD in chemistry. But from there, I don't know I don't even know how to explain the turns that happened. It was, I did not expect in any way to be in the semiconductor industry. I thought I was going to graduate with a degree in chemistry. And from there, I was going to go work. One of the other things I wanted to work in is the pharma industry, but it didn't work out either because I was, again, I was more focused on the metal surfaces with the oil and gas industry. And, I ended up with semiconductor. It just happened. And the reason why I ended up with semiconductor, I got interviewed by, Evans Analytical Group, or Evans East at the time in, New Jersey. And I went into something I never even did before, was SIMS, secondary ion mass spec. So that was a wild, kind of experience. But, again, I never expected to, in graduate school, I expected I'm going to go get a job, work it for 30 years or so, or 40 years, whatever it might be, and then retire on, on my 401k or whatever it might be, the retirement funds I would have. But that was it. That was pretty much it. And I never expected to open my own lab, and I never expected to, sell the lab after about a year or two. And then about 2 years later after that, I joined Greenwood Dental. So it was, and again, I went from a career of 20 years in semiconductor to dental now. I'm almost in dental now about 10 years. It'll be 10 years this January. So the only person that has more time in the dental field than me and the entire team, other than Dr. Slava, is Pam. Pam has been there over 10 years now, I believe, at our office. And she left an industry. I think she was in injection molding or something in the Hudson, New Hampshire company there. And she went from that to going to dental, which she never ever even did before. She never even worked in the dental field. And I didn't either. The only thing I knew about dental was what I learned from Dr. Slava, or just the things I'd hear about in the office the first 3 years it was open. But other than that, I didn't know anything about insurances or how to deal with them and claims. And it's a very, very different feeling now, for sure.
So let me summarize. Undergrad, when I met you, 1990, for pre-med, you're going to join the military and go to medical school.
Yep.
Okay, so life told you that's not for you. Then you applied for graduate school, PhD in chemistry. You got accepted. You ended up at UC Davis, and your thesis at UC Davis has nothing to do with what you were trained on at Evans East, that semiconductor.
Nothing.
Right?
Nothing.
So again, life told you this is not for you. You're not going to do oils, and you're not going to work with the oil company. So you end up in semiconductor, and you work that out, right? And then you left the private sec to own your own lab. And again, life told you that's not for you, right? Then, well, we went to Maine, right? Yeah. And then you got pulled back to Evans, back to Massachusetts. Then life told you it's not for you. You opened your lab. Life told you it's not for you. And then you landed in dentistry. Now, saying this, do you feel that life is telling you now this is for you? Or you still have that nagging do you feel, from what you have experienced, do you have now, did you build this radar that's like, okay, hold on a second, things are shifting again. Maybe it's not for me. I need to take another leap of faith into something else.
So over the last 30 something years, I noticed now that, I usually like what I do when I'm involved in it. And I'm pretty project oriented. So, the dental offices at this point for me are just kind of that project is running on its own. Now it's time for me to do a new project is what I'm thinking. And that's what the franchise is. So, once, every time I get something, the project, working, and of course there are always kinks, even in the 3 dental offices, there's always kinks. So, but the project has been created, set, and it's in motion. So now I'm looking for 2026 to really, focus on the franchise. It's going to be the big focus for 2026 and moving forward. I'll keep an eye, of course, on the day-to-day operations and the dental office, but we have promoted Pam in our office to co-vice president or co-CEO with me. So hopefully in a couple of years, I can completely phase out of working at the dental office and really focus on the bigger project, the franchise.
So this is what I call another transformation itch, right? There's an itch going on that just starting to, fester, and you just gotta scratch that itch and then see where it takes you. So to clarify, when you started your career as even a graduate student, because going graduate school is a career because you taught there, you created a different research, you published a lot of papers. So you won a lot of awards as a teaching assistant. You won awards for your research and your articles. So it is, you had that graduate student career first. That was a mindset. So you went from medical school mindset, ex-military, /military rather, and then into the chemistry graduate world, profession, being a PhD. And then you had a mindset, you tapped into the semiconductor, and then a mindset of owning your own lab, then the mindset of going into dentistry. Now your mindset, that transformative itch, is saying that it's time for you to focus on the franchise. And I heard also when we were talking in some of the meetings, we would like to get involved in more a charitable work too, to give back to society and certain communities and to share that experience, share that wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience, and wealth of ability to make a difference in people's lives. But it is a transformative mindset right now. I believe that if you did not have an unlimited mindset, by eliminating limited beliefs and thoughts, because you're so good at that, I will never forget, I think last year I was so stressed out and I was very anxious and excited as my capacity in the world was changing. And of course, I had to step out of my comfort zone in order to make that happen because it's a new experience. I never done that before. And I came to you, I don't know if you remember this or not, but I came to you and I said, Ihab, I can't get rid of this thought because it's driving me crazy and I feel like it is in my way to create and to move forward into what I think is going to be the best thing for me. And you looked at me and you said, no, you put that thought in there. You're the only one that can get rid of it. And you walked away. Mm-hmm. And that stuck with me for the longest time. And I shared that with my life coach, Dana. Mm-hmm. And And she said, yeah, he's a wise man, but that's why I call it the Jedi, because I would say you walk on water. You're a man of few words when it comes to emotions and spirituality and energies and frequencies. But when you need to make a statement, boy, it comes out to me as words of wisdom. But that's a compliment that I wanted to share with you. So it sounds like we are embarking on a new journey as of 2026. Now, do you feel things are moving fast enough, not fast enough, or too fast for us?
Depends on what we're looking at. So, I think work is moving fast, but not too fast. The franchise is not moving fast enough. Again, that's something we're going to transition to in 2026. But as of now, that's not moving as fast as I wanted it to move. I thought 2025 was going to be the year where we're going to really visit the different schools, but it ended up that we were reworking Greenwood Dental, Greenwood Dental Partners here, the 3 offices, pretty heavily with respect to the clinical, the business team. It was a big 2025 was a big transformation for Greenwood Dental Partners in our 3 offices. So again, it's now, it took this many months from January till August to kind of get everything in place. Now September through December, everything should now hopefully start kind of building on that change. That was moving pretty quickly this year. And there were at some points this year, it felt a little too fast, but we had to kind of catch up with it and kind of deal with it. So that was fine. But other than that, it was, again, this year was a really busy year. And that's why we couldn't do the franchise. And I wish that, we didn't have to do all this transformation, but it was for the good of the practices that we transformed it into this, and morphed it into this format. So.
But it's the same process though. For example, you launched the franchise in July 2024 and the universe is telling you, okay, good for you. Yay. Good job. You launched the franchise, but you cannot focus on that yet because there are other things are coming down the pipeline that you need to take care of that. And sure enough, it did, right? But let's plug in the Egypt. To me, coming back from Egypt, it was a spiritual journey that transformed how I receive the detours that the universe had set up for me and for us too. And the funny thing is, again, you're not very, very spiritual person because you base all your decisions and thoughts and even feelings on facts and data, and it needs to be backed up by a pattern that can be quantified and tangible pattern. Right. Not, she said, he said, I think, I feel, it feels like kind of thing. But I did notice when you were in Egypt that you were in such a high energy of bliss status that I never seen you in except when you were in undergrad with your fraternity brothers. That is the one time, the happiest time I ever seen you through the years I've known you. The second time was when you were in Egypt in November 2024. Now, you've been to Egypt before at age 14, 15. It was my first time in Egypt. I've been to North Africa. I visited Tunisia with my family on a Christmas holiday, but I'd never been to Egypt. So I did not know what to expect. And it was my first time going back to the Middle East since the Gulf War, actually. The last time I was there was December in 1991.
Yep.
And so can you share with our audience, what are your thoughts about how Ihab, age 15, saw Egypt? What did you take back? What did you bring back emotionally when you were there in Egypt at age 15? And of course, how different it is bringing back from Egypt as an adult business owner with all that transformative journey life experience that you have in your pocket, looked at life after coming back from Egypt this time.
So going back to when I was 15 or so, when I went, it was, like you said, your first time was in 2024 for yourself. But my first time that I recall was when I was 15. Prior to that, I believe my parents went maybe 2-3 times, and I was quite young, maybe 3 years old, 4 years old. So I don't remember any of that. But my first time that I remember something was when I was in high school at 15 when we went. And we spent about 10 days there, maybe 2 weeks max, I think. The way the visit went that time was we went and visited family, kind of. That's all we really did. And we did some excursions, like we went to Alexandria to the beach one day. We went to the pyramids. These are the things I kind of remember. And then we went to the Daraksan countryside in Egypt, where my grandmother was and my own uncle. And I think one of my aunts was there too. But we went there, and I just remember the farm and, trying to milk a cow, which didn't work for me. They showed me how to do it, but it didn't work. And the cow was not happy with me. So then we ate fresh chicken, fresh duck, fresh rabbit, everything from the farm, their farm. And anything else that was outside of that, the farm that they had with respect to food, they would just go purchase it from some other farm that was producing it in the area. Like if they needed cattle or beef, they would go to a farm that was, had, beef, for sale. So in any case, the food was amazing because it was all fresh. That's the one thing I do remember. I don't remember going to really any restaurants back then. And I just felt like, again, I was a kid. So, I was being dragged around with my parents to visit family. And, it's like, my dad was one of 11. My mom was one of 9. So imagine you're going to all these people's homes, and I'm getting introduced to them for the first time in my life because I don't remember anybody. And then we go, a date. Next day I go to a different person, and then a different person. And so we were like all over meeting all these people. And, for me as a kid, I couldn't remember everybody and their names afterwards, of course, because it was only like one single meeting, with them. So it ended up that it was like kind of like a whirlwind tour of Egypt, but not really of Egypt. It was a whirlwind tour of visiting homes of my family members, which wasn't, a bad thing or anything. It was just that, I'm a kid and I was thinking like, oh, I want to go to the beach, or I want to go here. I want to go there. I want to do things that a 14, 15-year-old wants to do. But we ended up doing none of that really, except once or twice. Again, I understand why we went to visit family, because now I understand. Back then I didn't, other than like, oh, I wanted to do this, or I wanted to do that, or I wanted to eat here. But, my dad really kind of, guided the entire trip for that time. Now, when I look at it now in 2024, I went on this trip thinking, okay, again, I'm sure, some of my uncles and aunts have passed away. and we've lost touch with some of them as well. But when we went this time, we visited with my dad's youngest brother, my uncle, and his kids, which are my cousins. And I remember, again, one of them, Muhammad, was a 1 year old or so, or 2 years old when we visited when I was in high school. And when I visited this time, he was 41 years old or 42. So it was a pretty wild. See, he was a little kid and now he's a grown up and married. So that was really neat. But anyway, kind of talking about this trip now, when we went, it was focused on not many family members, which what we did last time, because if we went on this trip and we focused on like going to all the family members, we would have been spending our whole trip visiting. What I wanted to do this time, I wanted to visit family members and do the things that I would have wanted to do when I was younger, and also the things that you want to do as a tourist, because I'm going. Imagine I'm going in 2024 for the first time in my life where I make the decisions on what we're going to do versus someone else. Actually, Slava and I made the decisions, but it's something that we wanted to do. Let's go to Luxor. Let's go to the pyramids. Let's go to Khan Khalili. Let's go to let's go to the different places that are really big tourist attractions, but also you get to feel that history of, the pyramids being 5,000 years old and, Luxor being, thousands and thousands of years old, the Valley of the Kings there. And, going to the bazaar there, that's, I think, at least 100 years old, if I remember correctly, maybe even longer. It's one of the oldest, continuous running bazaars, in the world. It's very famous, but, and we limited ourselves to a small group of family members. And that really, I believe, helped us focus on the trip and seeing Egypt as a whole, rather than just kind of moving from home to home and visiting people. And we got to experience the different foods, and we ate out pretty much all the time, is the whole thing. But it was an experience that was kind of transformational. It was felt like a pilgrimage almost, because I was going on a pilgrimage to do the things that I had never done before. And it was kind of like a bucket list, checklist that I wanted to visit the Valley of the Kings, because my mom went when she was young and told me that I have to go at some point. And so I said to myself, all right, we got to do this trip. We got to break off from Cairo, take a flight down to Luxor, spend 4 days and come back. And that's what we did. And I think that if I do we find a place and we move, partially to Egypt for, a couple of months out of the year, I do want to go visit Luxor again, because we didn't see everything. There's a lot there. I mean, we scratched the surface of Luxor, and we were running around like crazy in Luxor, going from one temple to another, to one, ancient Egyptian site to another ancient Egyptian site. And the food was incredible. So that is what I felt and I saw this time, because I got to do the things I wanted to do, versus when you're a 14, 15-year-old, you only get to do what your parents want to do. So, but yeah, this was a very different trip, and really made me more connected with Egypt than I was never connected to Egypt before this trip. So, only connection I had was, I know we have family members there, but there was no, connection feeling, that national feeling inside you of pride and all that until I saw what I saw there. So.
Yeah, sounds to me like you going there this time with a fresh new pairs of eyes. The one it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you were a 15-year-old, you didn't have an autonomy over what you want to do, how you want to experience Egypt.
Yeah.
This time you're seeing it with the eyes of a life seasoned adult, a business owner, traveler, world traveler too. You have other experiences that you are comparing it, because as we walk through Cairo or experience different restaurant, we'll say, oh my God, this bread is even better than Italy, or, this poultry is better than even Spain. So we had a lot of things that we can compare it to in order for us to extract a unique experience of Egypt, in the Egypt experience. So, yes. But hold on a second. You went to the pyramids the first time when you were 14, 15, and you went to the pyramids. So let's pick something that is repeated experience, right? And you went to the pyramid this age. Now, as a 15-year-old Egyptian American, not even first generation immigrant, coming back from Egypt at 15, what did you think of Egypt then? What do you think of Egypt now as a business owner, a professional, life-seasoned adult, settled in his way, having a full autonomy of your life and dictating the experience that you want to have going there? So I just want you to compare as a mindset, transformative mindset, coming back from Egypt when you're 15 years old and now last year, how, did it change your view of Egypt?
Yeah.
How?
Back then, in my mind, and from that point, up until right before we left, maybe let's say a year or two before we left, because we started connecting with my cousins and my uncle over FaceTime that whole year of 2024. I think we started talking to them in 2023, maybe. But let's go back between that trip when I was 15 up until, let's say, 2022. In my mind, Egypt was a third world country. When I visited when I was 15, it probably more or less was to me. And from that point till, I got into my early 50s, that's what I thought. And then I just started hearing things from family members, my cousins, from Maryland. They would tell me that Egypt has changed dramatically. And I never believed them. And again, we'll talk about the pyramids back then and now. Of course, they're the same. Nothing's changed with the pyramids. They're still there. The difference is how built up it is now versus when I went. So when we went, there was the pyramids, there's the Sphinx. You can take a carriage ride and they take you around, or you walk around, whatever you want to do. And now it's like coming into the park. It's like it's almost like a park here, a national park here in the United States, like Yosemite or something. It's very well planned. There's parking lots. There's gates to get in. It's all, they have parking lots for cars, parking lots for buses. So was not like that back when I was 15 years old. And then the other thing that changed was the restaurants in the area. And then, if I remember correctly, behind the main pyramid, let's say a quarter mile to half a mile back a little bit, between that pyramid and another smaller pyramid, they built this really high-end breakfast, lunch restaurant that's beautiful. We saw it from the outside, and I've seen pictures. We never went in, but maybe this time we'll visit that restaurant. But again, and the other thing that was built nearby the pyramids was the new Grand Museum, the Egyptian Grand Museum, where they're moving all the artifacts from the older museum, the art museum there, to that Egyptian museum, which is unbelievable. It's beautiful. So again, that's the new thing. You have that museum, that new museum that's open, and you have the restaurant, and you have some other restaurants we never visited, but which are nearby, which have a view of the pyramids. So that again is showing me that Egypt is becoming. When I was there, it looked like it became an industrialized country. 100%. Remember people talking about is, oh, you got to go to the UAE, Emirates and Dubai and all that. And man, you got to see all that, the buildings and the malls. Well, when I went to Egypt this time, again, there was no malls when I went there. If I remember correctly, there was no malls. There were probably supermarkets, but now they have like mega markets now, like the United States. Their malls are bigger than the United States malls by far. There's not there. It's not even and it's not even like like a shabby looking mall. It's like I'm talking high end. There was a mall we went to that was like as if you were walking on Fifth Avenue in New York City, but nicer because it was set up in a mall kind of environment versus, Fifth Avenue, the street. And you had all the big brands in that mall, all the big names, Tiffany and Louis Vuitton and all that stuff that was Hermes and all that. They had everything there in that one mall. And it was, with the restaurants, it was set up in a way that was like, so like the feng shui of it was just so nice. And the artwork that they had kind of sprinkled around the mall area. Again, it's like kind of an outdoor mall, like we have one of them here in New Hampshire, here in Merrimack Outlets. But, I always tell people, imagine there was a mall in Cairo we went to that was, I believe, 8 to 10 floors high, the mall. And it was as if you took a single mall from whatever people are used to here in the United States and stacking that mall 10 high with 10 floors of the same size and same layout of the malls here in the United States, but 10 of them all in one spot with every store you can think of from the United States, Europe. I believe they had some Asian stores there, and then tons of food and coffee shops. And the funny thing is, you hear about people in Egypt having a hard time financially. Possibly that's the case, but boy, those malls were full of people, and they weren't just hanging out; they were buying stuff. People were purchasing. So, yeah, it was. It's again. I think Egypt is moving in a direction now, and it's moving quickly in a direction where they're starting to look at creating industries. For instance, I was talking to my cousin. He said they're building a Chinese car manufacturing plant there. So China is going to be, instead of exporting their cars to Egypt, the ones they sell from China, they're going to build a manufacturing plant, hire Egyptians on the assembly line, and make those cars in Egypt for a lower cost. There's no tariffs, and since it's employing Egyptians, and it's a company in Egypt specifically, it will obviously be a lot cheaper for the car. The Chinese company still makes a profit, obviously, from it, and the Egyptians have jobs and job security, and they get cars built there. And for what I'm hearing, they got also some military type equipment being built there now. Maybe some smaller vehicles, military vehicles. I think ammunition was another thing on the list. So that's again a really big thing, because if you start building your own planes, which is again they're going to be doing it with I believe France, the Rafales, the Rafale fighters. They're going to be building those in Egypt, which is going to be a big deal, because if you start building those planes in Egypt, those fighter jets, then Egypt, that industry can grow quite quickly and start exporting those Rafales for France, where France can make a really good profit, obviously, from it, since it's their plane. And Egypt is building and industrializing and growing and selling, exporting fighter jets, for instance, for France. Again, it could be a manufacturing facility outside of France or wherever in Europe they have manufacturing facilities for those planes. You have one in Egypt, and you can start maybe selling and exporting for that French company to African nations that buy the planes. Again, that boosts the economy, that boosts the industrialization of the country, and that boosts the morale. Again, I don't want to say the morale is low. The morale is very high there. People are very happy, but it's going to give people that job security. The more job security you give to a person or a group of people or a country or a population, it really strengthens the economy. And in turn, strengthening the Egyptian economy helps strengthen world economies as well. It's not just you strengthen one and nothing happens outside. It's like you're living in a little bubble. It doesn't work like that. You strengthen the Egyptian economy, and that means people start buying things, importing other goods from other countries. That boosts other economies, as well as the Egyptian economy boosted by them exporting as well. So I think that's kind of the really the big thing that's happening in Egypt that I've seen when I was there. And I think it's gonna, in the next 5 to 10 years, it's gonna be a big jump in industry there. And I'm hoping to be there and helping with that in some way. And so we'll see that if that project moves along as we are planning with that in Egypt.
That is a fascinating insight of you analyzing the really point of attraction to Egypt that you have right now, to the point that you want to purchase a second home in Egypt.
Yeah.
All the places we visited.
I would have never, ever purchased in Egypt prior to going. I would never have wanted to move there. In my mind, we were talking about, like, you know, we're going to work X number of years and retire. In my mind, I was going to retire in the United States. And Slava, if you remember correctly, when we visited Miami all those times, we were looking at a place down in Miami, and, you know, of course the homes there and the condos are very expensive. Which is, I mean, fine. We could find something that we can afford, but in the end, I was like, you know, when we went to Egypt, I'm like, whoa, you know, various things clicked in my head. Transformational, because, you know, we're talking about unlimited mindset. I wanted to be around family now because I have no real family here except my cousins in Maryland, meaning my blood family. And I really connected with them when I went, especially my two cousins who I really spent a lot of time with, and my uncle. I want to spend a little more time with him when I go there this time, because I always spent with Sally and Muhammad. We were there with them a lot together. And I would have never moved there. I even told my dad this, like, when I was young, my dad was like, you got to go visit your family at some point. And I told him, I don't really want to go to Egypt. I don't really know anybody there. But when we went, it felt like, you know, like saying, oh, I don't not know them. When I went there, it felt like I only was gone for like a week or two, as if we were always connected. And even though I wasn't there physically for 40 years, that connection stayed and was made much stronger when we got together. And it solidified in my mind that I want to be around my family. And the last X number of years I have left. And I want to spend as much time there as possible, without causing any ripples at work here or the franchise. Of course, I'm going to try to balance both of them. And buying a house there again was not on my list at all. And then after visiting, I'm like, you know what? I really want to buy a home here. And I was going to buy a home on the Red Sea first, but I said to myself, why don't I buy a home in Cairo near everybody? And then we can always look at something on the Red Sea in the future. It's not a big deal. But, in Cairo, we'll have our second home there. And when we visit in the future, we don't have to stay at a hotel. We can stay in the home. It'll be nice. And then if things go well with any kind of businesses or the nonprofit starts to take off, we'll spend a little more time there as well. Instead of just kind of visiting 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, we'd spend maybe like a month here and there in Egypt. But yeah, again, it was not even on my radar.
So just to simplify things and summarize things, when you went, it is a mindset transformation, right? When you went the first time at 15, you were not a life seasoned person. You were under the protection and under the autonomy of your parents. So,
yeah.
And then it was number one. Number two, you didn't have the sense of duty because your parents are around. The parents are going to take care of it. That's their job, to show their family the gratitude or the give back to the family. Number
Yes.
two. Number three, Egypt has evolved. So I'm wondering if we went last year and Egypt looked just like what it looked like when you were there at 15 years old, I don't think there would have been that strong point of attraction. And the last point is, because you rekindled your relationship with your family, thank you, technology, thank you, social media, reconnected people. When you landed in Egypt, you felt like you never have left because you almost were there physically to fulfill or continue the fulfillment of that relationship. So that's what happens when you go through life. Now, your parents are not around. They do not control the autonomy of your path. You are, right, the king of your domain right now. Yeah. You dictated what you want to do, who you want to see, what to do. And people actually respected that and took that into consideration when your family planned your vacation there. You got to experience Luxor, which is the fascinating civilization that we absolutely love and admire and respect. You are practicing the sense of duty being the matriarch of your family right now. You are as close as a male member of your family. You are as important as your Uncle Salah, because your cousins are younger than you and they're looking up to you. Their kids are looking up to you. And I saw it when you guys interacted. I observed the dynamics and it was heartwarming, beautiful connection there. Now, also, as Egypt evolved economically, an industrial way, for you being an entrepreneur with an entrepreneurship mindset, you are seeing opportunities in Egypt that you would never seen if Egypt did not evolve the way Egypt is evolving. So part of it sounds like, rekindling, reconnecting with family, having the sense of duty that I want to go back and give back because my dad always, asked me to take care of my family. My mom asked me, make sure to go see Luxor. I've done that. Having the like I said, the advancement of the technology and industry in Egypt, it really, you resonated with that. You connected with that. You relate to that because you love ideation. You're a visionary person. You like to see people moving forward, improving, and the whole world is changing, obviously. But that is the fascinating process of a mindset transformation when we look at life with completely different eyes, when we are guiding into a different purpose in life. Your capacity as an entrepreneur, a business owner, job creator, CEO right now in the world, you're looking at the world and life with those two new eyes. So you're gonna perceive things a lot differently.
Right.
You're gonna find the opportunity. You're gonna find the resources in order to get things done. And then the sense, like I said, the sense of duty is really igniting that passion for charitable work, giving back to the community, giving back to your family and the country where your ancestors came from. But I never ever thought, and we used to compare. You're right. We were gonna seriously consider Miami as our second/retirement home. And then when we went and saw the beaches in Egypt, and I always swam in the Red Sea. The Red Sea water, to me, is the best water I ever swam in. And for the record, I swam in the Pacific, the Atlantic, down in Florida, the Red Sea, and the Mediterranean. And the Red Sea is the best water. Number one. Number two, when I travel, I am David Rose on Schitt's Creek. I'm very fussy where I sleep, where I eat, where I go, the crowd, the vibes. But when I was in Egypt, I did not care about those things. I just wanted to be. And that feeling, I used to read about people experiencing that feeling, but I never ever experienced it with anybody, with any race, with any continent, with any food, with any civilization, with any heritage, like I felt it when I was in Egypt. And again, I was not fussy. Like I said, I didn't care where I ate. I didn't care where I walked. I saw beauty in everything and everyone. Mm-hmm. And that feeling, stayed with me when I came back to the United States, but I struggled to compare. When I came to the United States, almost like the table just flipped, right? Now, United States to me looks like, sad, looks like just hard work, looks like there's the essence of life like I felt in Egypt. Could be because we are thank God, blessed, very thankful, grateful for that, to be in a situation that we can do that, where I know the majority of people are struggling there. We will try until we can't do it anymore in order to give back to the community. But that's the struggle. Do I choose to continue living and retire in a country that there is no essence of life the way we look at it as Arabs, right? As a Jordanian, as an Egyptian? Do we really want to spend the last years of our lives in a place, what I call the labor camp? To me, United States is work. And because that's the relationship I have and the connection I have. Yeah, there are, a couple of spots that I love to go and visit just to recharge. The recharging here in the United States does not last, and it does not impact me on such a deep level as the vacation or the break or the recharge that I got from Egypt. That lasted me a long time. I'm talking about the first quarter of the year. And then I started to feel I'm very depleted. I needed that vibe. I needed that Egypt energy again. But that, like I said, how can vibration and energy from one nation and from one spot in the world, I'm sure there's other spots in the world that can give you that sensation, any spots in the world that impacts you, body and soul, and it's you come back and you analyze your emotions, you analyze your mindset, you analyze your aches and pains, being postmenopausal, and that was all gone in Egypt. And probably it was happening, but I was not paying too much attention to it because I was, vibrating on a different frequency that gave me that bliss and comfort. Does that make sense? Or am I like,
Oh yeah. No, it makes
like a crazy person?
Yeah, it makes sense. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that feeling you're talking about is the reason why, we were looking at Florida, and it's like, why spend the money there when, you can get something equal? I mean, the houses between Florida or anywhere in the United States and Egypt, are the same to me. Like those really nice homes in Egypt are like the same as the really nice homes in the United States, but 1/4, 1/5 of the price at least. And you'll be able to give back to the country, because I'm thinking, when I go visit Egypt, now I want to, instead of going to Miami to go to the beach, I want to go to Egypt, go to the beach, and stay at a hotel there first, and give back to the Egyptian people, because again, tourism is a big thing for them. So giving back financially in that way, at least that way for now, until we get the other projects going there, is something the least that I can do for Egypt. And it's, I'm thinking in my head, I don't want to waste much money in Europe anymore. I've been to Europe. I've been to London many, many times. It's great. Nice city. Fun. I would go every once in a while now, not as often as I wanted to go in the past. I don't want to do that anymore. And, because I can get that same type of, food, things like that, even better in Egypt than in England. Sorry. But yeah. So anyway, that's kind of my take on it. Like, I want to give back to Egypt, and giving back in the United States, which I do now. I mean, it's not like we don't go out or anything like that, but, I want to do more and more, of the visits to Egypt, so we can try to get those projects going. So, but yeah, that's pretty much kind of the way I look at it. Again, we talk about unlimited mindset. A 14-year-old's unlimited mindset is very different than a 56-year-old unlimited mindset, because that 56-year-old has gone through a lot of years of experience and visiting many, many countries around the world. And now you come back and say, wait, you know what? Egypt is really as advanced as the United States in many ways. There's still some, kind of things that they're behind in a little bit, but that's okay. They'll catch up. And they're working on it now. So I think that,
compare it to the country around them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Turkey is no better. Italy is no better. Greece is no better. South of France is no better. South of France, you walk into South of France, you feel like you're in the 1940s. The war just ended. Like V-Day just happened. Italy, when we went even northern Italy in the Italian Riviera, you walk in the streets, it's like a war zone. You know what I'm saying? So there's no reason for you to compare. But again, your mindset coming from how you are seeing life right now, you see life more appreciative as an employer, as a job creator, as a business owner. And understand what it takes to run a business, what it takes to be advanced, what it takes to be successful, what it takes to be entrepreneur. And now even we met amazing entrepreneurs in Egypt when we were there, and hopefully our relationship will grow for years to come, which is really, really fascinating. And again, if we did not have the life experience where we can compare, in order for us to make that decision that, we will feel better being around family. We will feel better to have a home. We will feel better that we have the opportunity as immigrant to play upon the advantage that we are multicultural, adaptive, and we have multicultural competency too. That's the beauty about an immigrant, not to have either or, but to have both. And when I used to talk to immigrants like your dad's friends in Hoboken train station, they're from Puerto Rico or the Dominican or Cuba, and they said, "Oh, I'm going to buy a house back home, buy a land, build a house." Even my friends, American friends from the Philippines, they say, "You know what? I'm never going to retire here." And I used to think, you guys are crazy. Why would you go back? Coming after having such a fulfilling life here in the United States, you're going to retrograde yourself and downgrade yourself. Right. And how are you going to be able to adapt after living in a first class country to go down? It's going to be harder for you to go through life getting stuff done when you don't have the amenities or the resources that as advanced as the United States. But now I see why. It's not the lifestyle. It's really the heart warmth feeling that you feel when you are there. And again, that's the beauty about being an immigrant. You can have both worlds and you can adapt back to the culture, your ancestors' culture. You can come back and do some work here. You are an American and then you are X, Y, and Z. You go back, you gain that blissfulness, almost recharging, resetting yourself, relaxing, and then you can come back and make more money and you can go spend it there. You can come back with more money. And we are so grateful and so thankful and so blessed that we have this opportunity. But in 1992, Ihab, we never ever thought we'll be sitting on a podcast on social media platform talking about that ever. So as we reach to the end of our hour, I would like to thank you guys for listening and watching. And as a reminder, these episodes are uploaded every single Wednesday on the Apple Podcast and the Spotify podcast platforms. And also these episodes are available for you guys to watch as a video on the Greenwood Dental Partner YouTube channel. But what we'd like from you guys, since we are successfully have launched our season 2, we would love for you guys to ask us and put a comments below and let us know what would you like us to talk about, especially if you like our format and you like our content that will help us evolve and also help us to transform in a sense. And please, if you enjoy these episodes, like, share, and hit the notification button. That way you won't miss any episodes. And I hope to see you next time. Happy New Year. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This is Slava the Jordanian.